circuit. We'll be hosting round 2 of the MotoGP World Championship. Jack Appleyard and Simon Crayf are here to preview everything that you can expect this weekend here in Portugal. And once again, Simon, we have to start with the man holding the number 1 plate, the world champion. There was so much talk over the winter months of Marc Marquez arriving on a Ducati, Jorge Martin taking the next step, KTM getting closer now with rookie sensation Pedro Acosta on board. But Bagnaia went out there and proved to everybody why he's a 2-time back-to-back world champion. Before we speak about that performance, how important a performance was it to set his stall out and let everybody know, okay, if you want to be world champion this year, you're going to have to fight real hard for it?
Yeah, look, it's very, very early. So you don't have to do anything except get really good points, you know, be in that top group getting the good points at this stage, and meaning not crashing, not hurting yourself, not losing a big bunch of points. The first impression of Pecco is he is even improved on last year, because the bike has, and all through testing he was awesome, and then had a bit of a glitch at the beginning of the event, and we went, oh, how is he going to cope with this? And we've seen at races last year that he struggled for a while, you know, and they came out and just nailed it, you know, different conditions, and he was like in testing that good. So first impression is Pecco's a worry for the opposition. He's raised it up another level, but we've got a long way to go.
Oh, yes, we do. We've got a very, very long way indeed to go. These are highlights of what we saw at the Losail International Circuit under the lights on Sunday night, because once again, it was such a typical Bagnaia weekend. We've grown so accustomed to it by now, where on Friday, he doesn't look all that comfortable, he doesn't look all that happy. He makes a small change overnight and he's up there competing for pole position on Saturday, but doesn't really have it to win the sprint, and then he always saves his best until last on Sunday. In terms of if that is going to be the weekends that Bagnaia has from now until the end of the season, will it be a concern that it always takes them a bit of time and he needs to sort of gather momentum and energy throughout the weekend before he then reaches his peak performance on a Sunday?
Well, there's 2 ways to look at it, and that is the young man on his left there, Jorge Martin, I know we're going to talk about him later, but is so dangerous because he comes out right from the first session and goes bang, you know. So everyone has to play catch up, and that's before he's even got the bike sorted. And anyone's got the bikes in the ballpark. He's so fast, which, you know, means Friday he's in Q2, you know, straight into Q2. Then Saturday, he basically makes the job easy for himself to be on that front row. And Pecco only has to have a couple more of those bumps further back. Anyone that does that is going to have a really tough time beating Jorge, because he hits the ground running so much on Friday. You know, that's, I think, the concern for the opposition. But yeah, Pecco, how well he works, that's the other way to look at it, how well he's working with his team. I think he gives them awesome feedback, figures out the problems, and comes out with, you know, the morning warm-up on Sunday and went, yeah, we've got it, the setting's better, and I just got to ride it a little bit different, and he does that, you know, and executes those overtakes like so confident. And so, yeah, he looked a real danger Sunday night.
He'll be supremely confident coming into this weekend as well. Victorious at the season finale in Valencia, then at the curtain raiser in Qatar. And he comes to a place where last year he won the sprint and the Grand Prix. He's, I imagine, the big favourite coming into the weekend.
Yes, but MotoGP, really, I mean, we've just had some big rain today.
We have.
That has changed things. I've just been out on the bike having a ride, and it was completely wet. Just reminded me how good rain tyres are now. They're amazing. I would say rain tyres are as good now as the original dry tyres I got to ride on 40 years ago. They're incredible. Like,
would have made your life a lot easier back then.
Wow, we all had the same. But all I'm saying is track surface, they've done an awesome job of cleaning up after all the work, you know, because it was, I'm one of the first bikes out there apart from Moto E, and it was wonderful. all I'm saying is that rain it'll take away track time to get set up if it comes back, and throw cat amongst the pigeons, mix it up. Otherwise, yes, Pecco's looking the favourite.
Good point on the work they've done as well. If you are tuning in for the first time, a lot of work has been done on the circuit to improve the safety, whether it be new curbs, slightly bigger gravel traps with different gravel as well, more air fences as well. So the circuit have done a tremendous job to get it up to a real high standard now. Just finally on Pecco, I think there is, for me, a general consensus among the fans that they're still waiting for that next little thing from him to prove that he is really at the peak of his powers, an elite level rider, despite the fact he's won 2 world championships. This time last year, it was Argentina, round 2. He made a key mistake. Then in round 3, same again, made a key mistake in America. How important is it that we now see a Bagnaia without making these mistakes? Because I think for all of us, there's still that niggle in the back of our minds that he can make those errors in big moments.
That's bang on, and that's what his opposition will be hoping, because without them, he's amazing. And the thing is, if he can stop doing that, and have a consistent, he's going to need to, because I think the championship's going to be closer this year. Everyone's learnt, made progress. So he's going to need to not make those mistakes. If he doesn't make the mistakes, he comes out and does the job weekend after weekend, I think not only all the fans will, he's the man, but he'll get a bit of swagger about him, confidence, which he's very reserved, isn't he? And Pecco, lovely guy, but he's quite reserved. And I think if he stops those mistakes, a bit of confidence will come through and we'll all believe it.
You said we're going to talk about Jorge Martin. Not just yet, because the big breaking news coming into the weekend is that one of his good friends may well have just taken his seat in the Prima Pramac racing squad. It was announced earlier in the week that the Ducati Corsa have signed a multi-year agreement with Moto2 sensation Fermin Aldeguer. Of course, made history at the back end of last year by matching Tony Elias's record of 4 consecutive Moto2 victories. He's now been rewarded with the deal of a lifetime. It's a 2-year deal with Ducati having the option of a further 2 years as well. Initially, no confirmation of where he was going to be riding, but Mauro Grassilli, the man that has taken over from Paolo Ciabatti as sporting director, confirming to us today it will be Prima Pramac Racing.
If Pramac renew their deal.
Correct. Yeah. If they renew their deal, which seems likely. But wow, what a move for Fermin Aldeguer. Still only 19 years of age, moving up to MotoGP next year on the best bike on the grid. I mean, it's the deal of a lifetime.
I love it. I mean, we don't know what his deal is, but it is the right bike to be on. Like, to think forward from here that the next 4 years, you're going to be on a factory Ducati, even if opposition catch up to equal, on par with Ducati, they could still, that's the bike that you want to be on at the moment. And I'm very excited about the new generation coming through. I always am. And I say that also because, if you look at Pedro, it's more recent. Jorge Martin, you got to remember, he turned up to his debut event and put it on pole position, was fighting at the front, got took out by Pecco, and he put it on pole. Another event that, the new generation coming through, they are fast and the equipment is so good, they gel quickly. And so, look, there is a minimum of 3 riders, looking like going to be replaced in MotoGP very shortly. And if you, that's the minimum. But if you look on the other side, there's up to 6. So we need these young riders, and this one is a special one. And I think, congrats, good work by Ducati.
An amazing photo that MotoGP's social media posted after news was announced of Fermin and Pedro Acosta, both from Murcia together, training together at the age of 8. And now they're both going to be on the MotoGP grid side by side next year. A remarkable journey for the pair of them. On Fermin in particular, how much pressure does this put on him now, or take off him now for the rest of the year? Because he is the big favourite to win the Moto2 World Championship this year. The fact that Ducati have picked him and said, he's our guy, does that add pressure or take some away that everything is sorted?
He's got to gain a heap of confidence, swagger, from that deal. Absolutely fantastic. It's the ride to be on if you're a rookie. you know, a non-factory bike, Pramac, equivalent machinery to factory Ducati. Wow, and always a rookie doesn't have the pressure to do anything crazy in the first year. The teams are always telling them, you know, come, learn. He's sitting pretty. It's the right spot. The main thing he's got to do is not hurt himself.
Yeah,
that's all I would say.
In terms of Fermin Aldeguer, we said potentially replaced his good friend Jorge Martin. We would imagine Martin is pretty desperate to get on a full factory ride next year.
There is Franco on the other side of the garage as well.
Potentially, so Frankie could stay there for another year. I think even Gino Borsoi, team boss of Prima Pramac Racing, and this man, Paolo Campanotti, who owns the Pramac squad, have said it's going to be Jorge Martin's last year with us. A factory ride awaits him, wherever that may be. But let's talk about what he was able to do in Qatar. A sprint victory again, number 10, unbelievable over the shorter distance, but it's a similar story to what we saw in 2023. Just didn't have that extra bit to go with Bagnaia on a Sunday.
I think he did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because...
what stopped him then?
No, I'm thinking he said he was being a little bit cautious in the beginning because he was worried, like a few were, Brad Binder, etc., that the rear tyre wouldn't go the distance, the tyres in general wouldn't go the distance, because you got to remember the race pace, the sprint was 11 seconds faster. That's 1 second a lap faster than 12 months ago. And to do that, you work those tyres much harder, and they had a huge consumption over the 11 laps. So all of the riders knew that they had to nurse tyres on Sunday night, and Jorge did an amazing job of it. He did the fastest lap of the race for himself, personal best, 1 lap to go, when he put the hammer down to run away from Mark, who he knew who was attacking. And he realised that, I did too good a job of conserving tyres, you know. And he said Pecco did the perfect job, you know. But I've just got to say, this man really impressed me that he was able to manage the tyres. Because I said to you in the car on Sunday morning, I thought he was going to plummet like a stone, because he had no tyre after 11 laps. Neither did Brad Binder. Both those riders did a really good job to learn how to and pull it off, to extend it. So I think all Jorge did wrong was something himself. He conserved tyres too much, and now he's learnt that. I think he could have gone with Pecco on Sunday night, you know.
And you just touched on the fact that at this early stage of the season, it's all about putting points on the board. And last year, he was wiped out right here in Portimao by Marc Marquez. The year before, taken out by Pecco Bagnaia. He's very rarely started, other than in his rookie campaign, where he was out the gates incredibly well. The last couple of years, he's really had to work at it to get the momentum going. So to have started the year like that, how important will that be?
I mean, this is only my personal feeling. It's not guaranteed. But my gut feeling is Pecco is very good at giving feedback and technical feedback to the team and finding the way quickly, where Jorge is just an absolute natural, and he's probably the fastest rider on the grid. Outright speed, give him anything, go. We see that every Friday, you know. The others have to get the bike closer, and the thing that lets Jorge down is finding the setting. And once he does, that's what has slowed down his last 2 seasons starts.
Right.
And he's got it in the ballpark this time, but they have that rear chatter, and more than likely Pecco's going to find out what it is first, but Ducati share info, which means their team will. And look, that's the picture I've got at the moment. I think Pecco's better at technically and very clever. And, you know, Jorge's the pure speed, and he's learning, you know, every time he learns from his mistakes. So they're both big dangers.
In between the men, first and second in the World Championship in 2023 on Sunday was KTM's Brad Binder, second in the sprint, second in the Grand Prix, still awaiting that first Grand Prix victory in what I'm sure for both KTM and Brad feels like an eternity now. Once again, close, so close, but just not close enough.
No. Deja vu. But it feels like everyone's taken a step forward and left them in the same position, you know. But I don't believe it is the same position, because I think Brad Binder is the most determined looking and fittest Brad Binder I've ever seen. And the KTM, listening to him, I mean, over winter testing, they did exactly the same as last year, didn't show all their cards, meaning they were just doing the work, and we saw what they had on Saturday and Sunday night in Qatar, which I think is definitely the best KTM that's ever turned up, and it's the first time, and we're about to see it, first time I've seen Brad talk about strengths over opposition, and that was it. He says the front end feels so good. Okay, this is a little bit too deep there, but he holds it back in the inside the next one. The thing is, he can use that tool to his advantage. I think listening to him, they still lack a little rear grip-wise, like driving forward over the opposition, especially Ducati, and I am positive that if they help Brad a little bit with that, he's going to win, meaning win races, win GPs.
For Brad coming into the weekend, I mean, KTM were very impressive here last year. Straight out of the gate, Jack Miller was fastest on Friday evening, and Jack really was the showman of the weekend, taking it to Bagnaia and Martin in the sprint, whereas Brad did take his time last year and maybe didn't find it as easy as Jack. This circuit, given the strengths that they've got, do you feel this is a place where they can be competitive?
I think they're in a better position they were last year. Last year, they'd just taken Jack on. Jack had just helped helped them with a load of info that they've taken really 12 months to fully take advantage of.
Right.
And at the beginning of last year, when they came here, they were like finding the way with all those new things they had, you know. And my feeling is now they know that package, and that there's just a few more pieces they need to sort out. But like I said, if they do, I think Brad will be competitive here straight away.
They do always say when MotoGP returns to Europe, that's when we fully see everybody's hands and fully know what the state of the championship is. So it's going to be an interesting one this weekend. Obviously, we can't do a preview without touching on Marc Marquez and Pedro Acosta. Again, Pedro Acosta in particular, the star of the show in Qatar on Sunday. Wow, what a ride from the rookie. In the end, the result didn't really show what it deserved, but he certainly put a lot of smiles on a lot of faces.
Yeah, and look, he's a clever boy, super talented, isn't he? Unbelievable. And that package is amazing, what he's been able to achieve so far already. But you only learn from experience, you know, going out there and doing it. And what he did Sunday night was even better than I expected him to be able to do. You know, I knew he could do something on Saturday, but Sunday, over the GP distance, you know, managing fuel and tyres and the whole race, it's the first time he's done it. And he did himself proud. And he will be angry with himself and go, right, that's what I did wrong. Next time, you know, he'll learn from it. I see both him and... he's standalone and on how quickly he learns things. He really is. So now he's had a GP, made the mistake of using a little bit too much tyre early on. I doubt whether he'll do that again.
I'm just going to throw two completely unrelated things out there. A reminder that Pedro Acosta has up until the summer break to break Marc Marquez's record and become the youngest ever Premier Class winner. And, as I said, unrelated, on the entirety of the MotoGP grid, nobody has had more success around Portimao than Pedro Acosta. 3 victories to his name, 2 in Moto3, 1 in Moto2. He really, really likes this place. Could it happen?
I don't think so. I don't. It's a handful to ride a 1,000cc production bike around here, you know, if you don't have all the limiting, you know, the electronics on it. To ride one of these monsters around here, I think so, is very hard, very dangerous. And if he does it, I'm going to take a bow, like unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Unbelievable if he does, but I just don't think it's possible. Second GP in.
Just finally, we'll touch on Marc Marquez in between the first press conference and the second one, because we've been speaking to a lot of riders today. One that was of most note to us, you might have seen on social media, Fabio Quartararo coming out and saying that he wants to make the decision about his future soon. He doesn't want to wait months for it to be a distraction, for it to take his focus away. He wants to get it sorted soon. And both me and you were in agreement. The way he said it, with such confidence, so assured in the manner in which he was saying, sounds like a man that knows where he's heading next year.
That's what I took from the interview. That just watching body language, it seemed like he knew what he was going to do or knew what he wanted. But all I can do is wish him best of luck that he gets it, because Fabio is so hungry. He wants to win. He can win. I don't know if he's going to be patient enough to wait for Yamaha to catch up, what is 2 years of development, you know. I know they won't, well, they shouldn't take 2 years, but how long can Fabio wait? He wants to win now.
Absolutely. Only speculation at this point, but plenty in the media linking him with a move to the factory Aprilia squad. We spoke about it before. That seems to be a potential move that makes sense for a lot of parties.
On all parties, it really does. I mean, apart from Yamaha. But, you know, Fabio on the Aprilia, it is a V4, but it's the most like the inline 4 of the V4s, meaning it's the best corner speed, even better than the inlines now. So Aprilia have done an amazing job to make. I would love to see Fabio win on the Aprilia. It's all hearsay at the moment.
It is.
Let's see what he does. Also, it's a tough thing to take for Yamaha. You know, Fabio leaving. It's a big part of the Yamaha puzzle.
It's a developing story that is, without doubt, going to grow throughout the course of the weekend. Both myself and Simon will be in pit lane and hopefully getting some lines on the future of Fabio Quartararo, of course, a MotoGP world champion in his own right, as we see riders filter into the press conference behind us. Jorge Martin here, Brad Binder just arriving as well. So a quick line on Miguel Oliveira that we're going to hear from.
Marc Marquez, you mentioned?
Marc Marquez will speak to in between this press conference and the next one, so we can give him a little bit more time and understand what he's going to do this weekend. But for Miguel, Home GP has got so many great memories here from 2020 in particular, and needs to get his season going.
Miguel, I've been thinking about this because I really like Miguel. I like the way he's kind of old for his age, which makes him closer to my age. You know, he's witty, likable. So I'm really sad to see so far this year not to see look, I'll put it this way. He and Brad Binder have been kind of each other's competition, nemesis the whole way through their, you know, both of them class, fantastic, stubborn, talented. And, you know, what I've seen Miguel turn up to Aprilia, I really thought he'd be in the top 3 last year in the championship by the first 3 or 4 races. That was my prediction. And obviously totally wrong, helped by a nasty accident and injury that lingered, and then he came back and got taken out again. You're just going like, what? So he's had a rough time, you know, and what I've seen so far this year is not the same determination, like killer instinct, you know what I mean, that I would expect from Miguel. And whatever it is, I hope it's not the terrible things that happened to him last year, and we see the Miguel we know is brilliant come back. He's
certainly better than what he's shown so far.
That's what I'm saying.
Without a doubt. And
sorry, I took so many words.
No, don't worry. And we're hoping that he can find that level again, and here would be a great place to do it. Of course, who can forget this time last year when he was up there competing for sprint victory?
Exactly.
Would have been right in the mix.
It's so sad, you know, that
take the Grand Prix win.
Basically, his last 12 months got derailed, you know.
Right here.
And I just want him to see him get back on the right tracks.
Yeah, you and I'm sure thousands in the grandstands on both Saturday and Sunday are hoping that it can go full circle and Miguel Oliveira gets himself back on track this weekend. Right, we'll be hearing from Miguel in the second press conference, but first up, time to hear from the world champion, Pecco Bagnaia, and the men that are not too far behind him in the World Championship at the moment. KTM's Brad Binder and Prima Pramac Racing's Jorge Martin. As ever, over to Matt Burt.